Hello and welcome back for the final game of the day. It is Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest, where this matchup features two young teams looking to elevate their play, and it seems that FlyQuest are hoping that subbing in Dreams for Diamond could do just that.
That's right, Dreams has been playing in Academy, and Diamond has been struggling with FlyQuest, but it's not like it's him. It's the entire team has been struggling to click together. So changing up the support could change a large vocal leader in the team, and it also can allow for a better pairing with Jose de Oro, who has been one of the shiny, bright junglers that has come to the league this split. And so if these two have a good synergy, it could be a way for FlyQuest to climb back up in the standings and start getting some better records. Now, you can see that those second solo kills, first isolated death, second in damage, but all of that is kind of irrelevant to when he plays and you can watch his mechanics, because that is one of the most impressive things that he has as a jungler right now. So if you can have strong mechanics paired with the smart leadership of a support, you now have a very deadly combination to take over the map.
Yeah, pretty big damage percent as well. So clearly putting in a lot of that work for FlyQuest, which I think is maybe why this swap is happening. I think Diamond actually has been improving week over week, but I think perhaps maybe just trying to I don't know. I'm curious to see what way they go with it. I guess you can either draft more aggressive bot lanes and try and let that pressure kind of parlay into Jose de Oro's carry, or just Dreams maybe more consistent, maybe just plays different champions that you feel like you can play safer on. We don't really know. We'll hopefully find out at least when the draft starts, and of course as we watch the game unfold. But I think if you're changing something, you're trying to stabilize an area that you maybe feel like has been a little bit less consistent for you, and trying to make sure that everyone can be aligned with the direction of making sure Jose de Oro can carry, which I think is certainly a good game plan on the FlyQuest side. For Golden Guardians, though, I feel like a Blaze Olive has certainly been kind of the standout for them, even though again this team hasn't been doing all that great, which I don't think is particularly surprising for anyone who looked at this roster at the top of the season. But Blaze Olive actually been looking really good. Early farming is going up, and his control meters and his Tristana have both looked really good.
I think he had some good Orianna games where he can farm, but the rest of the team is just really not working together. Golden Guardians has been having a very rough time in this split, pretty much all around now. The bright spot has been him, and he has shown improvement. I think in particular, the Tristana game is what comes to mind, that he has been playing it early before it seemed to take over a lot of the games in the league, and he actually had a pretty lackluster game to a much more improved game. So there is a bright spot, but unfortunately you need 5 people to click together to actually get these wins, and it's really not showing up. And Niles in particular, we all talk about how hard he's struggling, but I do appreciate that he's doing it with a smile on his face, because the transition from Academy, part of Collegiate, to the LCS has been a lot harder than I think most people would have imagined.
Yeah, I think Niles unfortunately has not lived up to the dominance he had in Collegiate. And again, do not get it wrong, he was unbelievably good at that level of play, and I think deserved to move up. But this transition has been pretty rough, and I think that's to be expected in a lot of ways. I think both Niles and Iconic will still grow to be much stronger players as soon as the end of this year. I don't think you're going to have to wait a full year with these players to see the improvement that they've already demonstrated. But if a Blaze Olive's kind of using his academy experience, where he's been there for, I think, was it 2 years before moving up, and kind of translating that into better play as his team has played a bit more around him and he's felt more comfortable on the stage. But now it's been trying to figure out what he wants to do and kind of what he needs to do at this level in order to succeed, because his carries are great and they were really good when he was better than all the players around him. Now the playing field is much more level and the quality of top lane talent in the LCS is extremely high. Niles has kind of been well, I can't really just pick Quinn and Kled and Jason, beat up everyone like I did in Collegiate, right? And that's not really surprising. So I think he's trying to find his footing, and maybe it's a blend of tanks and carries that work. Maybe it's just he needs to think learn more fundamentals at this level, right? And that's the thing that's going to get him over the line. It's not really the champions that's being picked for him that's the problem. But regardless, I think Golden Guardians can certainly look to have a good showing here up against FlyQuest. But FlyQuest, we'll see how they do here. 2 wins for GG. FlyQuest with 5. See if either team can improve their records here as well. And going to be the first 2 bans, as Lucian alongside Seraphine going to get banned away from Golden Guardians.
So having heard from Niles in interviews about what is the difference between Collegiate and LCS, is that it's not actually the 1v1 that's a problem. It's that the synergy that the junglers in the LCS have with the top laners is so unforgiving. We just saw Centaurn and Alphari paired up and how deadly they were in shutting down Fake God. So you take that synergy and you don't have it in collegiate, and it's very difficult to just learn it. You actually have to learn by failing it so much, which is what has happened. You have so many deaths, and we have seen glimmers of improvement, which involve better warding timing, better recalls to prevent dives from happening, recognizing, okay, if this wave gets crashed right now, I'm in danger of dying. But we have also heard from Inero what they have as the metric for success on Golden Guardians, which is just trying things and improving off the things that they have tried. Now, my question is, what is the rate of improvement that Golden Guardians wants? Because sure, you can wait there, but how long can you wait to see these players improve? And so that's where I want to see Golden Guardians at. Like, not expecting any wins, I'm just expecting a faster rate of improvement because there is a long ways to go till they catch up to the rest of the league.
Yep, and of course, all the wins they have here will transfer into summer, so whatever they can get is going to be valuable for sure. Renekton and Tristana actually rounded out the bans, which meant that the first pick was Hecarim for Iconic, leaving Udyr open there for Jose Diodo, who is flashing what is now his customary fill sticks here. But we did have a quick look at Dreams and has played a lot of Rakan. Does get hovered there by Jose, but he's going to be Thresh instead, which, you know what? That's a pretty good way to enter any support into the LCS. You're new to the stage? Here you go, buddy. Have some Thresh, because everyone can play Thresh at this point.
You have to. You absolutely. He's the Orianna of the mid lane, but
right.
It also we don't really know what it's paired up with just yet. So initially, when Thresh was actually making it back into the league, it was with the Aphelios, right? The Lantern duty allowing you to have that hyper carry. And it was how FlyQuest had been getting some wins, if I don't recall. So I think that might be the direction that they go for. It can be pretty useful against the dive that Hecarim wants to go. He goes in, you pull him out, and now you have an Aphelios with the white gun just mowing down horses left, right, and center. And Golden Guardians right away just going for a full-on comfort. The Gangplank for Niles and the Orianna for Blazelive that we just talked about how well he has been able to farm, but we need to see those farming numbers transition into damage in team fights combined with the Hecarim. So there is a wombo that they have here, but if you never get out of laning phase with even or a lead, it's not really going to get anywhere.
Ooh, I hope Licorice does this again. He will indeed go back to Cho'Gath. We've seen this already from him. It was one of his better games, actually, this season, if memory serves. And I believe it was also a counterpick into Gangplank here, so
yep.
Be cool to see how Niles navigates this matchup, because he's very confident in his individual ability on Gangplank, and he has shown that off at least against Immortals in the LCS, where he beat up Revenge's Ivern pretty brutally there playing GP. So again, if Niles wants to flex some of those 1v1 skills, certainly an opportunity to do so here. As Licorice is a pretty formidable opponent, especially when he's on his game, but bottom lane bans are going to keep getting directed here as Newbie's going to lose Morgana. Aphelios, that combination you mentioned, is also going to be taken away from the Thresh. The other combo we have seen, though, is actually Thresh and Udyr, and they already have that one built in, so kind of some extra bonus synergy there as Udyr gets some extra ways to move around the map, which is kind of all he wants. And FlyQuest is going to have 10 seconds here to determine their final ban, and it's going to be Senna taken away from Stixxay.
I like the Morgana ban as well because Udyr against Morgana is a nightmare. It's actually the worst champion that you can deal with because you run straight at him, very easy target to bind, and you don't actually get to have enough damage to burn through the shield, so you're never getting a stun off. Same thing with Thresh. You don't have enough magical damage mid-game to actually burst through the shield, so you don't get any hooks. Same thing with the Cho'Gath, right? You put the shield, you walk over his Q, and you ignore what he does. So these bans are setting up their champions for success. And the Yone ban coming out from Golden Guardians, very interesting. They didn't like what Palafox had, but he has plenty of champions that fit that same mode. The Silas, the Yone that was played, but he'll be able to play Aurelia if he really wants to in the mid lane against the Orianna. Unlikely, but I think that Palafox is a player that thrives on counter picks. So seeing what a Blazelive has, he selects to go for the victory and play it a little bit safer. You don't really need to experiment too much here. You just want to get those wins like we heard from Jensen, because a lot of the times the players don't actually check the standings, and it sounds crazy to think you don't check the standings, but that's because that's not the priority. The priority is literally just improve, right? You're so focused on just getting good that the wins should come naturally, and then you should know, all right, great, look at where we're at. We made it to playoffs. It's not necessary to constantly be looking at them and knowing where you place there. You got to be focused more of your energy on what really matters, which is becoming a better player and a better teammate.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the more the mentality here for these two teams at this juncture. For teams like in contention, let me tell you, Crumbs, Zeta might not care about the standings. They know a lot about the implications for playoffs and the tiebreaking scenarios and who they're playing next. Like, players have all of that mapped out because that's the stuff that really matters, right? Like, who am I playing? What's my game plan? And how many wins do I have to get to secure a better playoff spot? Because they just want to play more games and put themselves in the best position to do so. Caitlyn, though, being the last pick here for Johnson's kind of a fun one. Would have been good with the Morgana. Unfortunately, it was banned away by them because they already had the Thresh. But into the Kai'Sa and Alistar could potentially be quite a good little bit of bullying in the early stages here of the 2v2.
It's a fun one, but my question is, you've changed up the support, right? And we're thinking that the support change is intended to improve the jungle and support synergy, which is so important in the current meta. But Caitlyn and Thresh is a lane that you actually have to be really good at playing together, because so often a hook happens and then does the Caitlyn know where to place the trap immediately? Does it know where you're going to be flaying? Because this is a really important combo to get down to make sure that you get the lane dominance that you need from the Caitlyn. So changing up the support and the bottom lane could hurt this synergy if these guys have not played together or are not on the same page. So I need to see what Dreams and Johnson do on this lane, because otherwise we might be wondering, okay, so you made the bot lane weaker for increasing the synergy with the jungler, but you need to get out of lane first to join the jungle.
Yeah, I think even just in this specific matchup, it's like, if you don't kind of bully Alistar and Kai'Sa where you can, they're just going to take over in the mid to late game. Like, these two champions are so good in team fights. Kai'Sa's kind of good at all times whenever she finds an opportunity to make a play, which is every time she has her ultimate, it feels like. But Alistar, like, you don't pick Alistar for lane dominance. Not since the days of E literally healing the minion wave have you picked Alistar to dominate a lane, Crumbs, which is now a very, very long time ago. So it's much more about, like, yes, sometimes you find engages, but way more about roaming, way more about team fight engages here. So we'll see how it all lines up here, because pretty like late game oriented, I guess, on the Golden Guardian side, clearly picking stuff they're comfortable with, but much more about what team fight with the likes of Orianna, Alistar, and even this GP that wants to just scale up and push sideways and TP in to barrel up some team fights every now and then.
Yet the problem with Golden Guardians has never really been the draft. It's the play itself. So, yeah, you might have the shiny toys, but can you actually use them properly? Can you get to the stage where you need to be able to team fight and execute on it? That's always the question. Now we have to wonder what Niles can do on this pick, because this is one of the ones that he constantly talks about when he was playing in Collegiate as the lane-dominant gangplank. So here, though, with the Udyr and the Caitlyn, you imagine that FlyQuest can just abandon the top side and focus on the bottom lane. So it should free up the gangplank to have a better showing like the one they did against IMT, where the gangplank versus Iron got to play the game and was able to actually then contribute later on and not just fall behind and be fodder for the side lanes.
Well, if you're trying to sack a lane, Crumbs, Cho'Gath, pretty good counter pick to just kind of ignore top side for as long as you possibly can. Licorice has definitely fallen into more of a weak side kind of tank role lately, and it does feel like Jose Diodo is the player that FlyQuest are almost solely playing around. I like the Yone ban from Golden Guardians to step back a bit, just because I think PowerFox, even though he's very good on control mages as well, has looked at his best on this team, at least, when he can like help the team make the engage that like Jose is diving in for, right? And I think a champion like Silas, champion like Yone, is really good at just hitting the go button when the team says go. Niles are going to face check the Cho'Gath, but again, it's GP level 1, so realistically, it's just Cho'Gath eating some damage, but should be just fine here. Unless he can't make it to the minion wave, then it's a real bad time.
He does not want to get auto-attacked by that fiery sword, and he just runs away from him. Niles doesn't want to get some creep aggro, though, and as long as Licorice gets to the wave, he'll be able to start healing up from his passive. So Niles wants to keep him away from that, but already too late. Cho'Gath gets the last hit and heal up. Look at that, plus 21 health when he kills a creep.
Yeah, Niles going to do what he can here, playing nice and aggressively, but Licorice, of course, is expecting this, so just going to play back nice and respectful to all the damage GP can output with that passive and that parlay and the grasp. We did see a lot of this in the last matchup as well. Fake God looking good early on against Alfari. Niles now level 2, going to maybe force Licorice to be zoned off a little bit more, but Licorice again, just going to be patient here. Sit at the wave, get what minions he can without taking too much damage, and it looks bad right now because it's 10 CS to 3, but there's like a massive wave. It's almost 10 CS waiting for Licorice once it moves towards the tower.
He has so much sustain. He's running biscuits as well, right? He's got the grass proc, he's got the potions, and it looks like FlyQuest knew that this was going to be the game plan because the jungler is pathing from the top to the bottom side of the map. You've got a big wave here and a lot of damage and zone control here. I wonder if FlyQuest can actually make it for a dive here. It's unlikely that they'll actually be able to do anything here, but it'll just be Johnson harassing under the turret, and it's not like Stixie and Newbie have any help coming their way, so it's going to slowly just start taking plates and harassing them down, and as long as FlyQuest can play with this advantage, I think they're going to be very happy with how this early game plays out.
Yeah, this is kind of like the Caitlyn plus range support. Like, obviously Thresh isn't like a super range support, but I think in this kind of matchup operates in a similar way where you do, as long as you can push the wave in, it's just such a bad time. Like, Alistar can't do anything but like hit the minions and try and help Stixie whilst it under the tower and the pressure and the traps, and the plates just keep moving over. In fact, they've already taken 1.5 there in the bottom lane 2v2 as Stixie and Newbie finally get the wave out of there and get themselves level 3 so they can fight back a little bit more. Oh no, they are playing Ignite there, so Newbie with the phase rush especially is looking to get much more aggressive. It's not like they're absorbing all this pressure, but we'll see if they can get somebody else involved to maybe set it up, or if that's just going to be something that happens when the skirmishes erupt around the mid game. As we do check in with the mid lane, and it's a Blazola versus Palafox. Palafox is out of mana. That means he cannot win any trade, so he runs away.
Yeah, he runs away, and I want to highlight a little bit. Okay, wait. Yeah, just a little bit of a difference that happened with the junglers, where Jose Deodo's recall after taking crab, he pretty much recalls immediately where he killed the crab, right? Kills the crab bases instantly, whereas Iconic kills the crab, walks into the Raptor camp to see if there's something, and then recalls. But knowing where the junglers start should tell you that the Raptor camp isn't up at the same time. So he actually wastes a little bit of time. And it's these tiny little seconds where you know where the camps are going to spawn that allow you to get back on the map quicker and start making some plays before your opponent. And when your jungler is there just a few seconds before the other, that little advantage, that initiative can often be the determining factor in winning any skirmish.
Alright, well now Blazola is the one out of mana because Palafox did indeed commit the teleport. I imagine Blazola is going to TP back in now, especially because I don't think the wave has a cannon minion in it. It's kind of tough to walk back without losing a bunch of minions. Stixie though, trying to fight back here. They've finally got the wave pushed to the correct direction for their side, but does get stopped just short of the tower, and Johnson and James will be back to their business of pushing in just short order. And Miles in the meantime is actually frozen this wave enough where the Chris just walked back. He took his recall, bought a couple more starter items, and now it's Sheen versus, you know, Doran's a Ruby Crystal, you know, bunch of items. You know, Licorice has kind of got the mixed bag there as Niles has finally forced to let that wave push itself back towards Licorice here as it will slowly make its way back towards the enemy tower.
Yeah, this is going to be a perfect spot for the Joe. It's a great champion to actually thin out the wave from a distance and prevent a dive from coming out. So if he's ever worried that Gangplank and Hecarim will dive him, he can just keep queuing that minion wave and thin it out and make sure that he levels up and that there's never a big wave to crash. So just a little shockwave there from a Blazola to harass Palafox, but with both mid laners having spent TP, he's in a really fine spot. Not only does he have the tier, but he has more charges of the Corrupting Potion.
Ooh, good smite from Jose Diodo there. I believe he got the Scuttle Crab, but that's actually what I was looking for there. I love that Iconic decides to go into the river there and just find Jose Diodo because he's got bot lane pushing. He knows the Blazola's got the advantage right now, both in mana and in health, even though they're both currently chewing through all their potions as fast as they basically can. Palafox is going to get zoned off here, so Blazola currently has, you know, this pressure in mid that he can maybe build on. Unfortunately for Golden Guardians, there's nowhere for Orianna to go. Like, there's nowhere she can roam to that can help out, but at least Golden Guardians, like, with that little window that a Blazola created, which is why you see Control maybe just trade ultimates so often early on in the laning phase, there was an opportunity for GG to do something. Unfortunately for them, there's not much to do.
If they want to do something, a 3-man into the Licorice lane would be really helpful. You can actually, you do have enough damage to kill him, as you see that Niles is constantly harassing him down. It's because Licorice has to kill creeps to stay alive. This is not like the Gragas that has innate sustain just from using abilities. Cho actually has to kill the minion wave. So if you can pressure through the Orianna, zoning and threatening that a dive is coming that is a 3-man, and you know that Jose Deodo keeps playing to the bottom side, there is a way to play to this Gangplank and get him ahead. That they're not doing that, it's just that their plan doesn't involve it. But there are opportunities for Golden Guardians. They just involve adding more pieces than just the jungler.
All right, well, Steel Caps TP back in there for Licorice, so feeling pretty comfy actually, even slightly ahead. About a wave of creeps. Blazel and Power Fox continuing to do battle, but it is the Verted Barriers now dueling here in the mid lane. Do not be fooled, it is not the mage abilities that are doing all the work, it is that innocuous little set of beads. It's much harder to trade out your mana for their health when it's just so efficient in these kind of matchups.
Just farming, definitely diminishing the kill pressure from the mid lane from either of these sides. But Orianna, still with the priority though, can move to the bottom side, and that is really annoying for the Udyr that was trying to do the dragon. I think he actually is doing it now with this big wave that Johnson is crashing. No teleports on the top laner, so you know exactly what you're getting. There's only the Gangplank ultimate, and Golden Guardians should know that this is happening, and it looks like Iconic will go for a gank of it instead. Dreams has Lantern, doesn't matter.
Newbies modifying the angle there onto Johnson, but Dreams going to be the one knocked back by Iconic. Ultimate was there, ghosted in, but couldn't get anybody in. The Golden Guardians like the attempt, but unfortunately for them, no kills.
I'm surprised that Lantern got through. I think had they warded that Lantern because of the control ward that Newbie had, that was a dead Caitlyn. You were in danger of the Udyr following through, but if you kill the Caitlyn right away, you definitely can get out of that afterwards, because Stixxay has flash and heal as well to help you out if things get dicey. So a nice attempt and a better disengage from Dreams and Johnson.
All right, well, 2 flashes were used as a result, though, for FlyQuest, and Iconic didn't use his ulti, so there's a chance for a revisit there, although Newbie did have to commit his flash to set up that play. Johnson and Dreams might think twice about pushing nearly as far up, which will relieve some of the farm pressure that Johnson has been applying alongside Dreams here with this Caitlyn. Top lane actually seems like Licorice has kind of turned the corner in that 1v1. So getting the waves pushed in himself now is actually kind of forcing Niles to use a lot more mana than he'd probably like to in order to do anything there and push the waves back. So it does feel like Licorice has a handle on what's happening there. His mid lane, where FlyQuest will look to make their play. The Blazer with the flash should be just fine here. He doesn't even need to use it.
It's simply a rotation over to the Rift Herald, and the bottom lane of Golden Guardians is nowhere near. They're going for the bottom lane instead, and right now FlyQuest should realize that this is not being contested. You need to get out of here and get back to the lane. You don't need these many people. Golden Guardians is not contesting this, so this is the cost of this, but what does Golden Guardians get in return? Because Stixxay is already getting plates down here, so it's not like this is a free Rift Herald. They're going to have to use this very quickly, and he's recalling, so it's not going to go straight to the top lane. He's probably going to go do another clear, and he has 3.5 minutes to pop that Herald and get that plate.
Well, good news here, actually for both teams. Both carries looking good on the gold front, as Johnson briefly traded places on the gold lead there for first, but Johnson does indeed have to back off the wave, as Niles did ult it there in top lane just to scoop up the farm and prevent the push and the plates from going over. It does seem like teams are actually going to stay the course on the swap for now, though, which is interesting. So Johnson and James trying to push in what they can, and as of course, as I say that, they're going to go back here as Licorice is just going to push out this wave and likely recall. So a bit of movement back and forth here. FlyQuest get a couple plates to result, but Niles committing the ulti to make sure nothing really happens is going to keep the towers pretty safe here. And FlyQuest are up in gold, they're up in dragons as well. They've got that first and only Drake so far in this game. And they're up about 600 gold, which isn't too much, but isn't bad either. Plays over with the blue buff, trying to get frisky in the 1v1, but Power Fox again holding on to his cooldowns, not really worried here, just happily farming away as Victor.
Happily farming and happily lane swapping. FlyQuest with the bamboozle, with the bot lane going top, then basing and going back bottom again. Now Jose Dioro is with them, and Golden Guardians isn't ready to respond to this, and they're not going to die. I think Cho should be fine. Kaisa should be fine here. Okay.
2 levels ahead. All right, here's Newbie. Got to get him out of there. Forced to use the heal as well. So Licorice actually did a lot of work in that 1v1. Although Newbie being here maybe caused him to back up a bit more, though Jose Dioro spotting Iconic. I don't think there's really much he has to worry about. By the looks of the Observer trailing, either he got the Raptor camp or they're looking to dive the bottom side of the map here, because Johnson is lined up there alongside 2 more members of FlyQuest, and he's looking to knock down this tower pretty quickly. Niles again, a 3v1, not something he can get tanked with, and this time there's no ulti to bail out the wave.
And he's saving the Rift Herald here. They have a big wave, so he's thinking, all right, I could just use this for something else. I can use this to improve my recall and still make it to another lane and get even more plates. So FlyQuest is trying to maximize the amount of gold they can get onto this. I imagine that Johnson will swap back to the top side and get this. You could push for 2 turrets here if you really wanted to, but I think getting more gold into the pocket of Johnson is a better move. So Jose Dioro is in here, but he's in danger. There is no Thresh Lantern now. Gets a free red buff, and we'll be happy to get the steal.
Yeah, Niles just leashed it. Jose walked in and just smote it. I'm not really sure. I guess he just want to take the buff because like, there's nothing else Niles can do, I guess, right? Like, he's waiting for his lane to be pushed in. He's maybe expecting the Herald to come. Maybe there was a dive potentially being lined up there.
So he pulls it out.
Lane. There's nothing to do, but yeah.
He wants to take it because he knows Udyr is going to go after it right away. Right. So he's thinking, I can take it before he gets up here, but miscalculated how quickly Josedeodo would be able to take the turret and roam back to the top side. So I get where he's going, but Josedeodo gets the outplay, gets the Alistar ultimate, and the disengage. Still has that Rift Herald, though. Want to see that popped, and it could be useful in the mid lane right around now because the dragon is coming up as well. So we'll see where FlyQuest prioritizes. He's going topside to the Thresh, though. It is all about getting this Caitlyn ahead, who has Kraken Slayer, but so does Stixit. So there's a lot of firepower with these ADs right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3v3. Newbie back in again, though. Flash Pole finds 2 ulti in, and that's first blood now to Golden Guardians. Going to make it second as well as Josedeodo falls. And the 3v3 works perfectly for Golden Guardians.
They saw what FlyQuest was going for, and they set themselves up in the brush and got a very nice kill. That double is going to help them a ton. They'll be able to get these plays, but a 1v1 down here, I think Licorice will be fine, though. He's the Chem Tank, though.
Yeah, Chem Tank doing a lot of work here. The Feast is ready to go now. It's about to get 1v1 solo kill by Licorice. A Blaze Olive here. The Shockwave is flashed and Licorice flashes in for the Scream. Takes down Niles and Palafox looking to save the day, but Licorice does fall to a Blaze Olive who flashes over the wall, but now Palafox might scoop up the second, and indeed he will.
Just when Golden Guardians makes a great play in the top side, the other side of the map falters. The teleport from Victor does come in to save the day for FlyQuest, but man, you gotta let this one side of the map get the advantage and back off in the other. This is an unfortunate turn of events for Golden Guardians, but they're at least reacting to what FlyQuest is doing and trying to outplay them. That double kill was huge.
Oh, what a hook by Dreams. Just sets it up, and Johnson will take credit for the kill, but make no mistake, that is all Dreams on that play.
I mean, you gotta respect that Thresh and Caitlyn can do that to you. You are a champion without any good movement. So here, they had the wards. They knew exactly what was happening. Great flash combo there from Newbie. I love that the Hecarim ultimate came through right away. Make sure that they don't have the opportunity to flash. That's how you know that you see that the combo gets, that the crowd control gets stacked together. And meanwhile, this is just, the wave is pushing to you. Niles does not really have to be here.
Yeah, I mean, the problem here wasn't that, like, anyone was ganking him. It's that he couldn't win the 1v1. Licorice just sets it up. Good flash here to finish it off, and a Blaze Olive at least gets the trade kill here.
So I actually think if Licorice stayed and killed those 2 creeps instead of going up and trying to damage a Blaze Olive, he would have healed up from the passive long enough to survive. So just some food for thought there, but still gets a really nice turn after they had lost those 2 kills topside.
It's one of those things where, again, like, that one's harder to judge maybe because that's less about, like, oh, you're standing in the wrong place because, like, they can gank you. I think Niles maybe had enough info to feel safe pushed up there. He just actually couldn't 1v1 Cho'Gath because it's kind of what Cho'Gath does sometimes, Crumbs. You know, it looks like, you know, I'm just a big tank. I've got this Chem Tank. I've got these steel caps, you know, not really doing any damage. And then you get feasted and die because true damage. Cho'Gath's a pretty sweet champion in that regard.
True damage and percent max HP on the E on those Void Spikes. So a lot of damage out of this champion as well. So, honestly, I'm not sure what skin that is, but it is a really cool. As someone who is a Cho aficionado, I'm going to have to get that one.
All right, well, there you go, Crumbs. Now you got something to add to the shopping list as Josedeodo's getting a second Rift Herald here for the side.
Oh, it's a dragon. He's no longer a Void monster.
Ooh. I like it. Blaze Olive here trying to get some trading back and forth. That kind of is the name of the game for Golden Guardians right now. Although, to be fair, they're down less than 1,000 gold. They're also down 2 Drakes, so that is important. But they have 2 less towers than FlyQuest, and they're going to be even in gold after this one goes down. So actually, things keeping pretty close despite all that. And Golden Guardians still have room to grab gold here versus what FlyQuest have already picked up for themselves. So game nice and tight here, 17 minutes through.
I think the hope is that you've got the kills on Stixie, the most veteran player on this roster, the one that has actually I think, played the best out of this team thus far. So you have the items on the person that can actually carry you. He now has a Phantom Dancer completed, which is going to make kiting the Udyr and Cho'Gath that much easier. So all eyes are on Stixxay here. He has the gold. He is set up to succeed, and it will be the way that FlyQuest wins. Now, does he carry it all the way through? Well, he'll have to actually be the bridge into the mid game and allow the Orianna and the Cho to also be involved in these fights. But this is a player that I think has had a much better showing after what we saw last year on CLG. It's unfortunate, though, that the team isn't clicking, because at the beginning of the Spring Split, I thought Stixxay looked a lot better than how he had played last on CLG.
Yeah, still looks good as well. I think, again, there's just lots of room for Golden Guardians in general, and they have been showing improvement, which is good. And I think it is important to highlight that, like, even for more veteran players, they can also still get better, right? And just because you were great before doesn't mean you can't be great or better again. And I think Stixxay has felt a bit revitalized, kind of changing teams in that sense. Again, it's just a matter of getting everyone together on the same page and building up that experience. And Stixxay kind of knew that going in, Crumbs, right? You don't sign up for this roster not knowing that he is the most veteran player on this squad by a mile. But FlyQuest looking to try and line it up here with a mix of veterans and rookies. Stronson with the ulti out, but Jose Dioda started off the party. Licorice trying to CC everybody up, but Newbie living for an awfully long time. But long enough ain't good enough versus Cho'Gath.
You have 80% damage reduction, but it doesn't matter when your bite does so much true damage, and that's going to be a really nice kill because you get a lot of flashes there. You got the flash from the Alistar. It did cost Jose Diodos as well, but being able to take down the support means that Golden Guardians is no longer in a position to really defend for anything else. So it looks like all they will get from this is just a little bit of farm, get a nice kill. So we'll take a look at this again because it starts with the flash ultimate. He was hoping to get the hook on this, but Dreams was a little bit too far away to actually follow up instantly with that, and the Alistar, I think, would have blocked it as well. So they only get the Alistar, but it was Stixxay that was the target.
Yeah, nice ult from Stixxay, actually getting himself out of trouble. Usually see Kai'Sa ultimate go the other way, where she's ulting into someone to finish off a kill in the team fight, but obviously a pretty good escape tool as well in those kind of situations, as Niles is trying to print ball money here in the top side of the map. He's up in CS, but he's going to have to do a lot more farming to get those items online. Dreams looking for the hook, does hit it.
Oh!
And it's a Blaze Olive going to get locked up there, exhausted as well, but not dead. But Licorice now going to finish off the party. No, he's not. CC doesn't land, so FlyQuest cannot continue to play. But a Blaze Olive is going to be forced back here. Does have teleport, but is going to have to use it if Golden Guardians want to contest for this Drake.
Might as well have been the kill, because that hook gets you a free dragon, but now Golden Guardians is thinking of doing Baron instead. Okay, Rift Herald in the bottom lane. There is a Cho with a flash ultimate. This is not something that you can just do and think that you're going to guarantee to get it. FlyQuest can easily steal this. I think this is a poor call. They have to back off, and they do so.
Wait, Newbie is already locked up there by the Cho. He's popped the ulti already. I assume the call was to turn, but a Blaze Olive didn't TP in there. He's walking back. So weren't ready for a 5v5. FlyQuest just walk over, make sure the Baron, you know, doesn't get taken. Just kind of slaps Golden Guardians on the wrist for even attempting it, and then walks away.
It's just not a play you can go for against Cho'Gath. You have a 1,000 true damage steal. Your jungler's smite is nowhere near that right now. He can flash, he can blast cone, he can get lanterned out as well. I think that it's a play that you can make otherwise, but he's Stixxay's caught!
Stixxay, but still not good enough. Shutdown out of Licorice as he gets the last hit, but again, Dream setting it up.
How did he get caught in transition there in the middle of two lanes? There was enough vision from FlyQuest to see what was going on, but that positioning was quite poor, and it actually cost him his flash, so he's going to be quite vulnerable for this next team fight. And it looks like the Dream swap has actually worked out a lot in giving more direction to FlyQuest. Their assertiveness in looking for picks has improved significantly.
I'm going to guess, Crumbs, that Threshold was involved somehow. So if we see it again, we'll see just how close I am. But whatever it was, very nicely done there for FlyQuest to pick off the most important member of Golden Guardians right now. But as you mentioned, also getting the flash out of the deal sweetens it. As they look to set up for that Dragon Soul in 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
They have to fight,
but yeah, exactly, right?
You can't give up the Cloud Soul. It's just too much. Like, it actually makes Udyr so crazy. And Victor as well, being able to just speed yourself up after casting that Dragon Soul will be very relevant to this FlyQuest lineup. So Golden Guardians, all right, finally, we get to see. Because he's in the mid lane. Like, how does he actually... Okay, you don't need to... Come on. All right, man. All right, look at the minimap, right? Nobody's even close. So he must have thought he had the hero moves to go for that, but the wave was pushing into him. Just a play he saw, but nobody else did.
All right, well, 6A punished for his aggression, as Licorice does get barreled, but he's not particularly concerned with the current damage of the Gangplank. 2 items finished from Niles is nice, but doesn't do a whole lot here 1v1 versus the old Cho'Gath, and that's a much better use of the barrel there, as Niles just tries to kill the wave as quickly as possible. Not quite enough to pop it, but does get most of it here. FlyQuest, though, continuing to apply pressure. This Caitlyn sieging power is just so good. Then with Thresh to scoop out anyone who's under the tower, or in this case, Jose Diodo, who just needs a bit of a lift back towards the center of the map. FlyQuest quickly accelerating this game here. And again, they don't even have to do anything other than wait for the fight at the Dragon Soul. It's still making sure they get territory, they apply pressure, they get gold for towers as they potentially knock them down. And it's going to be Golden Guardians that will have to find a fight around that dragon, as you mentioned, Crumbs. And they've got the tools to do it, right? You don't draft like Hecarim, Gangplank, Orianna, Alistar to not go in a 5v5. It's just, what is the state of that 5v5 once you arrive? Because FlyQuest have done a pretty good job of getting all this vision and all this territory, with Golden Guardians not really having much time or room to do all the sweep out here, as they do start in their own jungle here first.
Yet they should know how to get these fights because of that play in the top side that got that double kill. Newbie with the combo on 2 people, then gets followed up by all the rest of the crowd control of the jungler and the Orianna. So Golden Guardians knows how this composition needs to be executed. We just have yet to see it more than once, and they continue to get these skirmishes that are never in their own favor. And part of it is that they're really losing these side lane battles. Cho is not only beating the Gangplank, but a surprisingly powerful split pusher with the Demolish. He has so much HP, that proc is basically a third of a turret every time he gets it.
Yeah, and you can see Niles actually like very far ahead in CS right now, getting as much gold as he can on the GP before the next fight comes around. Palafox's been catching side waves on the other side though, so FlyQuest, I do feel like most of their kills have just been basically catching Golden Guardians in transition, whether it's coming off a side lane or moving through another lane, or perhaps 6A getting a little too eager. But this looks more like a 5v5 they potentially want here. FlyQuest trying to flank them though, Licorice and Jose Diodo ready with the pincer maneuver, but now Golden Guardians trying to get in there before FlyQuest can set up for this dragon. They've got 10 seconds to get it done.
They don't want to combo onto the Cho or Udyr. That would be the signal for FlyQuest to turn and re-engage. So Iconic and a Newbie looking to find a different angle that involves either the Gangplank, sorry, the Caitlyn or the Victor.
Can't really get in, but this is a good move here for Newbie. Does get around there. Licorice going to be the first target, but again, more of a distraction than anything. Newbie, they're losing a lot of health, and they're just going to go for the dragon here. GP ulti down, barrels used, but the dragon resets. Golden Guardians trying to just get the soul out of their hands, and they do indeed do so. As Jose Diodo actually going to be forced to run away, but they can't see him just yet. Golden Guardians maybe thinking James is a softer target here. Now going to spot Jose Diodo, but Golden Guardians not chasing for a pick here. They just feel like blessed to pick up that dragon.
Yeah, it was good that Newbie went around, and at the same time, Palafox was in the mid lane, so he wasn't able to join the choke. That was the area where the Cho'Gath was being fought. So without the Victor being there, FlyQuest just back off and give up that soul. I think they should have contested it a little bit more. The Golden Guardians really committed a lot, and they have to acknowledge that, yep, it's Golden Guardians and they have been struggling, but this composition can eliminate all 5 members instantly if they get caught. So they rightfully respect it, and we'll have to wait another 4 minutes before the Dragon Soul gets taken. But Baron is still an option for both these teams because the Cho is a really powerful threat to just start it even. You don't, it's never a 50-50 when you have a Cho'Gath on your side.
Yeah, also don't really take any damage. Cho'Gath's just so tanky. So certainly agree that FlyQuest have the ability to kind of start Baron whenever they feel like it. It's not an all situations thing, but it is a most situations thing with this kind of composition. See, the gold graph has been trending in the FlyQuest direction, but not the biggest of leads here as we approach the 30-minute mark. As Golden Guardians trying to navigate their way around this mid-game here. They have been pretty decent, actually, as the games have gone later, especially in the Twisted Fate game, more famously up against IMT. But FlyQuest have done a very good job of kind of running them around in the mid game. So we'll see if Golden Guardians, now that teams are wanting to stick a bit more together in 5v5 stacks, have a little bit more luck starting the team fight to this composition. They dropped to 1-5, but Licorice with a big old flank. Niall's going to be the first target, and Johnson's just letting it rip there with the Caitlyn. And Licorice show they're going to try and actually get the kill here as Powerfox pops the ulti down and runs away. FlyQuest actually dishing out a ton of trade damage. The Golden Guardians and FlyQuest both going to walk away relatively unscathed.
So that all started because Golden Guardians has full control of the Baron side, and Licorice rotates over from bottom to mid to assist with the clearing of the mid wave and then transition over to the Baron. But Golden Guardians instantly respond like, all right, we can turn on to Licorice right now. But with the Stone Plate survives long enough to flash out and now teleports back to the top side, which prompts Jose to start the Baron. There is no vision from Golden Guardians. They pop the trinket. And this could be the signal for them to go back. But once they see that Johnson is not hitting this, they know that this objective is not being taken.
Yeah, I think you can make that deduction pretty safely. Oh, now you see the jungle, so you know for sure that
oh, it's two-man.
Not being attempted. Oh, they are doing it. They fooled even us, Crumbs, so we can see everything. Well, they fooled me. I guess Cho'Gath's pretty good.
I got fooled too. We got to see it.
All right, well,
it's free. They got it.
Yeah, FlyQuest just going to take it. There's no more blue trinkets up. And it's going to be too late. Iconic can get in there with the ulti, but doesn't even have that. And the Baron gets stolen away by FlyQuest.
Really well played out of them, because not only did they show Caitlyn, which you thought, oh, no AD, great, they're not doing. The Udyr also showed on the war. So you're thinking, oh, surely they wouldn't two-man it with just the mid and the jungle. But the Cho, yes, the smite on him, the percent HP. You've got the Leandry's Anguish as well on Palafox. So a really smart move with vision out of FlyQuest gets them a free Baron.
You know what's good when we spent like 2 minutes talking about Cho'Gath and how they can start Baron whenever they want, and then they two-man the Baron successfully, and we can't even figure it out. So well done for FlyQuest, because they certainly knew what their composition was capable of. And now they got the Baron here very nicely. Usually not that easy to take Baron on Summoner's Rift, but FlyQuest feeling pretty comfy getting that one done. And Golden Guardian's going to have to wait even longer to get themselves around again. It's Dragon Soul, which is going to be much, much easier for FlyQuest to get all that vision, all that info on. And Johnson is just destroying that poor Scuttle Crab. 3 items done for the Caitlyn. Has a much better time poking people there with her range. Stixxay, of course, also very powerful, but has to commit a lot more to really get something started as Iconic. Once again, onto Licorice. Seems to be the target of the day, but definitely the hardest one to kill on FlyQuest. So Golden Guardians, I think, maybe hoping somebody else slips up.
Well, he popped the Turbo Chem Tank to go on that one. I think we would like to have it available for this fight. And when everybody shows into the mid lane, now FlyQuest can move into the red side and control this area even further. They have a lot of vision and waves crashing to the bottom lane because Victor is pushing it. So I think FlyQuest will be happy here since Cho is not going to be moved out of here. He's got the Baron, he's very tanky, and a Lantern to save him from the side.
There's Idioto as well, just threatening anyone he gets close to with a slap. Plays Olive with the Banshees, actually dodging a lot of skill shots here. Newbie onto Jose Diodo, but FlyQuest again just trying to get mid-prio here so they can take this Dragon. Oh. The flash, but he had the Veil. I think he thought he was going to lose it to Cho'Gath Q, but he barely dodged it.
That's right. He thought he was going to get hit by it. The timing of it was what really scared him. But now, Caitlyn is doing this Dragon, and no one is close. This is not going to be threatened to steal. It is the Cloud Soul for FlyQuest.
There's no steal. It's Cho'Gath Crumbs. What do we keep learning? As Newbie going to get caught out. Ulti is going to connect, but the flash and the Orianna Shield is going to keep him safe. But still, Jose Diodo getting aggressive. Burn his flash actually trying to stun a juicier target, but again, FlyQuest will take the soul, they'll take this control they have on the top side, and a Blaze Olive now. This time he's going to lose the Banshee's Veil. 2v2 there. Here is Jose Diodo is just so tanky, but Stixxay's in there. Iconic's good as well, and Golden Guardians, they picked off the jungler, but Stixxay is forced to flash away from the Victor.
That's the power of the Kai'Sa. She comes out of nowhere and already has Lord Dominic's regard. So yeah, Udyr can be tanky, but this is already a little bit of a nerf to Udyr, so less HP and just gets mowed down by that. It's part of the reason why the Lucidity boots are a little bit tricky right now. It's almost like a must-have for the early game, but then once you reach that late game, you do not survive when you get crowd controlled. So the Hecarim ultimate keeps him long enough for the Kai'Sa to just delete it.
Yeah, it feels like everybody dies to the Kai'Sa if she gets enough time shooting you.
Even Cho, yeah.
4 items done for Stixxay, i.e. PD, Lord Dominic's, and Kraken Slayer. And again, Golden Guardians definitely going to be leaning on that late game 5v5 here, but not going to get the option of the soul, of course. That belongs permanently to FlyQuest this game. There'll be an Elder Dragon in 4 minutes 30, but FlyQuest again, I just feel like they have so much control of this objective, not just because how they're playing as a team, how they're setting up vision, how they're just doing their due diligence of pushing out the waves and kind of taking control of the areas, but again, this Cho'Gath pick, it was decent in lane despite some of the early bullying, but when it comes to just like simply walking to an objective and starting it, which is something that's pretty important, especially for teams that are maybe struggling a little bit more to, find their footing, find that cohesion, makes the game plan real easy for FlyQuest when it just feels like every objective is not even close.
Well, that last objective they got with that Baron, they really were only able to get a Dragon from that, because that death in the top side just stopped the entire Baron play. Once Jose went down, you gotta stop pushing with that objective. So now they have to wait once again, and yeah, the Cho got strong, but Naus is already on 3 items. He's actually really powerful. A single barrel onto one of these carries is gonna do work. So Niles has slowly been catching back up. He's been very relevant now, and level 17, he's already higher level than Cho, so his barrels will really hurt. We got to see mechanically where he pops off, because we have seen some incredible plays from Gangplank all across the world. Cho has flash.
It's a really good GP ult though. Licorice though gonna have to hold on to it. 6 here with the ulti, pops the Storm Plate, I believe, and that is a big trigger, but the Hellfire is gonna get melted slowly but surely as Stixxay will find the shutdown.
And only a top lane tier 2 is what FlyQuest gets in return. They're not in a position to get anything else, and Baron is not available. So that is a good move out of Golden Guardians to find the single member, and you got the Cho flash. That is going to be a relevant cooldown. Being able to pop that Stone Plate and flash on a carry is a huge burst of damage. So removing that from Licorice's arsenal is going to be very useful, especially when it comes to these Baron objectives that you don't want to increase the chance of it getting stolen.
Unfortunately, there was no extension there for Golden Guardians. Didn't really have a wave in the bottom lane tier 2 to try and take that tower, favoring being out on the map a bit more aggressively. Oh, they do have to kill the mid outer, actually. That's pretty important. So Golden Guardians reset will finally knock that one down. But that is a big difference in what they can do here. Man, look at Newbie. This is like the first time I think he's been in the enemy red side jungle. Just walking in, trying to get some vision down, because FlyQuest have had such deep vision in Golden Guardians side of the map for so long.
Wow, so Palafox just TP'd to the mid lane to make sure that he can help clearing out these minion waves. They don't want to give Golden Guardians a chance of going for the Baron, but here comes the fight!
Tank Stixxay is the target, that's the one they need to get, but they don't grab him just out. Iconic though, not going to be bad. He ultis, but still gets feasted on by Licorice. And now it's a 5v4 as Licorice TP's in. Palafox there, moving in as Newbie's going to have to sacrifice himself, but Stixxay gets clipped there. Now the flash in there. Oh, Shockwave isn't bad though, but the follow-up not really there. As Stixxay going to have to kill her instinct out. He picks up Dreams. Palafox going to be the next target. He gets that shut down. And now Stixxay still trying to make it happen alongside of Blazov, and Licorice is going to die as well. Stixxay, he's found himself a triple kill to keep Golden Guardians in this game.
They're winning a 4v5. That was some really clutch mechanics, and the Orianna shield to keep the Kai'Sa alive was huge. She got hit by so many ruptures, but it still didn't matter. That shockwave when the Cho was just almost about to attack her was so clutch from a Blaze Olive, knowing who they need to keep alive. Protect Stixxay, and you can mow down all these tanks. So we're going to take a look at this fight again, because it's a great ward for the Cho'Gath to teleport from. Once again, you've got Niles and Stixxay trying to fight for the mid wave. The second they see them commit here, they go all out. The chem tank, the flash stun, they catch the Hecarim, and he has to ult out, but Cho uses the feast, right? So you no longer have that ability. And because Stixxay is they're thinking, all right, we can chase him down, but there's a lot of distance that is already being created from that Cloud Soul map. Great sidestep on the hook, and then the shockwave, and finally the ultimate from Kai'Sa. That repositioning move always catches the opponent by surprise, and no feast on Cho means his damage is lackluster. He can barely break through the Orianna shield.
Yeah, and then Johnson not able to get in range, so Golden Guardians actually going to be the team to stop Baron once again here. And doing it pretty quickly again, but Jose Diodo is zooming into battle. Licorice also here as well. Again, remember, it is not a 50-50, but they're going to try and finish it off perhaps. Iconic's in there, they want the Baron, they are going to get it. But Golden Guardians, can they get out safely? Newbie, they're going to start on the fight. The shockwave clips Jose Diodo. That's going to be the kill. It's now 5v4 for Golden Guardians. The Stixay onto Licorice he goes, but he's so massive with that lock, and his iconic moves back into Johnson, shuts that down. 4v4 now as FlyQuest take down the jungler, and with Elder Dragon up, that's bad news.
Okay, so the Cho did not get into the pit, neither did Diola, but that Hecarim running in was really foul. Now you don't have junglers here, and with the Cho, yeah, he doesn't have feeds, but they're already here. The Kaisa cannot get in. Caitlyn does so much damage. FlyQuest get the Elder in return for the Baron.
Yep, that feast diff. He's going to give FlyQuest the Elder Dragon, so unfortunately for Golden Guardians, a great Baron call into the instant fight. Looked really good for them, but couldn't get enough kills, couldn't kill Licorice. I mean, it was his stone plate, I misspoke, that just made it so challenging, even with this Kaisa full firing.
They didn't know that the Alistar was there, but they had a suspicion that they were going to be turned on. Here, you got a single kill. You get everything. This is where Iconic messed up. Well, I mean, he's so fast. He just runs straight to the meat grinder. That looks hilarious. Yeah, you already had the win, right? 5v4, you just back off, and you can get that free dragon. You can reset, make sure that everybody can come in to the next team fight because you have the Hecarim ultimate. But unfortunately, now that Baron power play that Golden Guardians would have loved to use to take objectives, it's going to be weakened because now you're dealing with the Elder on the side of FlyQuest. So we'll likely keep this game going and wait for even more objectives to spawn and fight over.
I mean, if they covered up all the buffs and just looked at the map position right now, you would not think the FlyQuest were the team that had didn't have Baron, I should say. But again, that's the power of the Elder, just the ability to force a team fight that you almost cannot lose. Gives FlyQuest all this pressure here, and Golden Guardian's going to be confined to their base for at least another minute here. The Dragon's still ticking away. In fact, it might get even worse than that as FlyQuest are descending for the siege here in the bottom lane.
The Cho flash ultimate with the Elder. Probably kill a carry real quickly, right? If you get them at the Elder threshold, you can one-shot right now. So I think that they'll really respect that. But this siege is not going to go anywhere. There is plenty of zone control from the side of Golden Guardians, and with the Baron and power play, there's not much to do here. So they're just keeping the Golden Guardians in their mid lane, but they already have the itemization. The gold is pretty much irrelevant right now. It's all about the positioning and the team fighting.
You can see both junglers there in mid lane just trying to push the waves in / push them back, depending on what side of the siege you're on. Licorice is just eating all the poke. It just doesn't matter for it right now with how tanky this Cho'Gath is. And Stixay's full build. Does have those boots that he could potentially swap out if he wanted to, but other than that, is fully stocked on items. GP also approaching that point. A Blazeol with 4, probably most critically, including that Void Staff. Get through everyone's health. Baron Newbie, very good 6th Densen, not walking into the brush that they didn't have any info on, which was a good thing too, because Licorice gonna make that a pretty easy kill for the team if you did walk in there.
Yeah, speaking of easy kills, once you reach this late game, there's no more tanks in this game. Everybody gets popped pretty quickly. The Alistar damage reduction won't matter. The Cho and the Udyr, we just saw how quickly Stixay was able to melt them. A single proc of his passive is enough to kill them, really. So a big part of these late game fights involves the carries just hammering away at the tanks that misposition, and in return, where does Jose Diodo, Licorice, and Newbie put themselves? Because you just cannot afford to get hit for more than a few seconds against any of these carries, if at all. So I always look at the positioning, less of the carries and more of the tanks, because they're often the ones that have to be the first to engage. And if you just misstep by a few seconds, that's enough time for these carries to mow you down.
All right, well, map state is resetting somewhat here. Baron is going to be back up in a minute 45. Elder Dragon going to be up in 2:25 now. And again, everyone's carries are fully weaponized. Johnson as well. He's actually been like, not quite this game. He's 303 with 700 bonus gold. He just hasn't really been like the big feature of these fights because he's just casually shooting people by the front lines running at each other, and Golden Guardians try and kill whoever, you know, is the softest target, which is surprisingly been the Cho'Gath randomly. Because Licorice is the one that's there, like, basically putting a giant stop sign in front of the team if you want to get to anybody else on the lineup. As Jose Diodo, with a very speedy flank, is extremely happy to have this Cloud Rift right now. Just zooming on through the lanes.
And he can split push because of how quickly he can join again, but he doesn't also want to let his team get engaged upon because they don't know where the Alistar is at. They haven't seen him in a while. And Newbie has already won a previous fight with his flank, and here he goes once again, hoping that FlyQuest positions himself in the mid lane, but they're rightfully responding and moving further to the left-hand side. Here's Licorice, though. He's engaged upon.
Yeah, they're doing it again. In fact, 6A popped the ulti. They're really going for it. Stoneblade already popped, though. But now 6A potentially in trouble. The damage still coming out, though. But Johnson on a rampage takes down Iconic. And the rest of FlyQuest will descend as Niles on the front side gets feasted and killed by Johnson at the end of it all. And that's going to be 3. And looks like the 4th and the 5th are coming in. Blazeover at least gets 1 in retribution. But Stixay this time cannot carry the fight as FlyQuest pick up the bot lane ace and the Nexus.
Golden Guardians tried. They saw an engage, but it was at the tankiest target, and the commitment of the Stixay ultimate was too much. I think they must have thought that FlyQuest was not close enough to react, and that's why they had the engage onto the Cho, but it was not the call. FlyQuest was there. They peeled and killed everybody in the Nexus.
All right, well, it was a grueling game, but FlyQuest do pick up the victory against Golden Guardians.
Looks like the Dream substitution helped. It was a long game, but they still got the win, and that's what matters in these best of ones.
Yep, again, it's definitely a time when FlyQuest can be using more of their roster here, trying to experiment with some of their academy players. And Dream certainly looking decent here in this game on the Thresh, lining up some very nice hooks in the early game, especially early to mid game, I guess I should say. And it's funny, like I didn't expect this game to be all about the Cho'Gath, but that's kind of what it felt like. Like, I don't even know if I necessarily fault Golden Guardian for trying to kill the tank every time, because, like, are you going to win the other fight where you walk into a straight-up front-to-back 5v5 and have to kill the Cho'Gath anyway? Like, probably not. So at least maybe try and kill him when you got a bit of free time to hit him, but I think at the end of the day, like, whether it was objectives or the team fights, Licorice was just too much to handle.
You know, I think today when we had Cadriel, he was mentioning how flexibility is the name of the game right now. We've already seen in 2 games how just being able to pick a champion that is unorthodox, that the enemy does not have a lot of practice against, can get you in winning positions. The Veigar, not knowing how the Cage interacted very well, and then once again here the Cho with the ultimate feast to steal, to play the silence and beat the gangplank. It didn't seem like Golden Guardians really understood what they were dealing with, overcommitted, and paid dearly for it.
Well, a dramatic game, but a FlyQuest victory at the end of the day. Thank you for joining myself and Crumbs for our games today, and we are going to be stepping away, but when we return, it's La Tigress going to be talking to Dreams in a Verizon post-game interview. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to the LCS, everyone. We are here after our final game of the day where FlyQuest managed to pull through with the victory, and we are joined by Dreams. Dreams, how's your transition been coming to NA, spending some time on FlyQuest Academy, now making your debut in the LCS?
Obviously, I feel like really great, like playing like first time at LCS and grab win for the first time. So I'm just feeling great in general now.
Yeah, that first W always feels oh so good. And this game did take a bit of time to get to its rolling start. It wasn't until 13:30 that we saw the first 6 kills of the game, but it was a steady lead that FlyQuest held from there on out. What do you believe was the key to you and the rest of the team taking this victory today?
I think in general, like we did pretty like good macro, I would say. Like we initiate like Herald swap and we get like Herald cleanly. Obviously, like we lost some like bot wave for it, but I think Herald is more important. That's how I think. And we just try to just keep like gold to the Caitlyn, and I think we pretty much like successfully do it and snowball the game through it. So I think that was the key.
Yes. Speaking of the Caitlyn that you just mentioned, Johnson, obviously the one piloting the pick, he himself has said that he's working on being more assertive, aggressive as a player in his second year in the LCS. What was it like for you laning with him and working on that bot lane duo dynamic?
I think Johnson in general like plays like really like consistent and good. So it was just happy to play with him in the bot lane in the LCS.
It was a happy time for us to get to watch you all. As we head things over back to the State Farm analyst desk to close it out, Dreams, I want to say thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to interview.
Thank you very much, the Tigress. FlyQuest picking up a victory and Dreams on his first debut performance here in the LCS. It's got to feel good to start that way, particularly, Alorum, when we consider the draft that FlyQuest went in with. Caitlyn Thresh as a lane definitely demands that you do something with it.
All right, not gonna lie, kind of a snoozer of a game, but FlyQuest did have one win condition this game, and that was playing around their bot lane. They have the Caitlyn and Thresh, which incredibly outranges the Kai'Sa and the Alistar, and if you play Kai'Sa Alistar into this kind of range, you're basically banking on them making a miss position, and you just capitalize off that. But that didn't happen. We didn't see much happen there in the game, other than that FlyQuest just took the dragons that they should have got, while everybody else farmed around the map. And so FlyQuest, for the rest of this game, plays off the Caitlyn's gold lane, and Johnson did his job. He didn't die a single time this game, and he did a lot of damage. I will criticize FlyQuest a little bit on their team fighting, because what they should be doing is just purely just ball around the Caitlyn, make sure she doesn't die, and don't overchase too many times, because as we saw a couple times in team fights, if they stepped up a little too far and Caitlyn was too far away to do damage, then they couldn't finish out the rest of the team fight cleanly. So overall, you know, they did their job. It was a slow game, but FlyQuest ended up playing to their win condition.
Yeah, I mean, they got counterpick in every lane, technically, where, you know, they saw the GP and Ori first, and they saw the full bot lane. They only had to take the Thresh, you know, blind, quote unquote. So, like, they were able to get kind of scaling advantages while still having good matchups in every single lane. I mean, GP and Cho obviously both scale really well, just do different kind of roles in the team fight, but both teams definitely, or excuse me, FlyQuest definitely had a reason to play slow. Like they didn't feel pressured to have to do anything. They can just kind of let their Caitlyn take turrets and kind of follow around the map and just kind of naturally get a lead. And so I don't fault them. It felt like more the onus should have been on Golden Guardians to try and upset this kind of naturally slow scaling team comp.
Well, the onus was on Golden Guardians, but as Alora mentioned, it was definitely a slow start to the game. Took a while for the kills to come in, but admittedly, once the kills started coming in, this game broke down fast.
Yeah, and most of these kills off are like kind of random picks. We could see that even Niles is getting solo killed down here. The Cho'Gath in this lane can just kind of run down the GP if he doesn't have items yet. With a great flash over the Shockwave, by the way. That was really good by him. Although Niles, without his mythic item, should not be that far up. When you play GP, you can side lane, but not when the Cho'Gath is up a mythic item already. You can't be there, man. I don't know what you're doing. And for the rest of this game, we kind of saw Iconic just hop right into the Cho'Gath mouth. You know, it's fast food just for the Cho'Gath. He's eating it up all day. So and this is what I was talking about. Look where Caitlyn is, and look where Licorice, Dreams, and Palafox are. They're so far up, and Caitlyn's not close to them, so they're just getting shredded by Stixxay. If they just play around the Caitlyn, the team fight is so easy, but instead they elong the game by like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I think for Licorice, she's pretty happy. He got to live the Cho'Gath dream. Like, when you lock in Cho, this is what you dream of. Just being this huge-ass void monster running around. People can't kill you. You get fatty shields. This is my favorite play of the game.
Oh, my God.
Straight into Cho'Gath's mouth, just eating up. It was a really fun game to watch the team fights, because I just love seeing this massive Cho'Gath run around, just be unkillable.
Yeah, there are so many aspects of that play that I love there. The fact that he hits the Caitlyn trap, so has like a full second and a half while he's rooted to think about the next play he's going to make, and then still decides, nah, I'm going for that monster. I'm taking him down.
You saw how low health he looked.
Yeah. And in this last team fight we saw there, it was basically what I'm saying, just play around your Caitlyn, you win the game. We did see Niles, he must have not seen the Cho'Gath Q because he ran into it and died instantly, but so overall, it was just FlyQuest played their comp better, and GGS needed to be better today on their teamfight mechanics, but what a game.
Yeah, Mark, understanding that this wasn't necessarily the highest quality game we've ever seen, how did you feel about Dreams' debut here in the LCS? We know that this is typically, it's a late time, obviously, in the regular season. Yes, you're out of the playoff picture, but to make a swap at this point in the split definitely strikes as odd a bit. How do you evaluate how he showed up today?
I liked it overall. I think a really aggressive, priority-focused bot lane and Caitlyn Thresh was something we hadn't really seen out of Diamond and Johnson as a combo. It did feel like Diamond was struggling a little bit to make that kind of pressure in the lane. He was playing some engagers, playing some enchanters, and so it was a nice change of pace. Say, okay, here's the new guy, and here's an entire game plan focused around kind of snowballing and protecting and lane dominance that was not something I think you would have seen if Johnson was still paired up with Diamond in this lane. I like seeing a different look out of the bot lane.
I agree with you. I think that's the part I appreciate, that if you're going to make the sub, you may as well make the game plan around bringing the sub in and what they're going to be able to afford the team, or at least what you felt maybe you were lacking with the previous lineup. Now, after a full day of action, let's go ahead and take a look at our standings. We got Cloud9 still sitting in first place. They're barely hanging on to it. And we have our right back on to our four-way tie here for second place. 100 Thieves, Dignitas, Team Liquid, and TSM. Evil Geniuses right there in sixth place currently. FlyQuest, CLG, and Golden Guardians unfortunately locked out of the midseason showdown. EG and Immortals, they're still alive, but Immortals will need EG to lose out, go 0-2, as well as go 2-0 themselves. They do hold the head-to-head against EG, so if all of that happens, they would sneak in as that sixth and final team in the postseason picture. Now, with only 10 games left to go before playoffs, though, let's take a look at our schedule for tomorrow. We got 5 of them hitting your screens. We'll kick things off with TSM versus Immortals. That's one of the ones that they're going to have to win to pull off that 2-0 to close out the weekend. Dignitas versus Cloud9, a battle at the top that is definitely going to be exciting. FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves, EG versus TL, and we close it out with CLG versus Golden Guardians. What do you guys think about that Dignitas Cloud9 matchup, especially given today's performance by Dignitas?
Well, I think it'll be a battle. I'm really interested in the top lane because Fate God and Fudge were both considered the top tier talent for Academy. And we saw today that Fudge, he didn't quite put up the performance he needed against Alphari, but Alphari is the benchmark, or not the benchmark, but the peak of top laners in an LCS right now. So Fudge against Fate God should be a little more interesting. That being said, I think Fate God is still pretty far up there, especially in statistics. He is doing very well. But overall, I think C9 have the edge because their bot lane and mid lane are usually turbo gapping everyone else. Other than today against CLG, I know it was a little rough game, but typically C9 seem to be doing pretty well.
I feel that first game feels like a year ago at this point. I almost forgot.
Cloud9 was so good. How can you forget?
Yeah. Honestly, his mechanics on that champion were fantastic. But yeah, it feels like a lifetime has passed between now and then. Alorum?
Well, aside from that game, I'm still a little worried for Immortals because tomorrow they have to beat TSM if they want to make it in playoffs, and they have to count on EG baiting Team Liquid, with Team Liquid looking so good like they are right now. Those are two very tall tasks, one which is completely out of your control, so I think it's pretty likely we know who our playoff contenders are going to be, but someone's got to be praying for Immortals, and let's see if they can actually take down TSM tomorrow.
Hold up. I actually want to, whether you misspoke or not, I want to correct something you said. Immortals needs EG to lose to TL. They want EG to lose both. Yeah, exactly. Which is still a tough task. EG is still a top 6 team by all means. And then EG would also have to lose to CLG on the final day. But Immortals, as you mentioned, 2 huge opponents. TSM tomorrow, closing out the weekend with Cloud9. If they're going to make the miracle run, at least if they do it, I think that's going to instill a lot of confidence in people that they do deserve to be the 6th and final team in the playoff picture, Mark.
Yeah, I think you don't want to face the hot team going into playoffs. If they knock out, TSM and C9, who could be 1-2, 1-3, depending on how everything else shakes out. Like, you lose in the upper bracket and you got to play Immortals in the lower bracket. That'd be pretty scary.
Alrighty, well, 10 games left to go. It's been a long day here at the LCS, so I'm not going to keep you all any longer. Make sure you go home and get your rest. That's going to do it for us here tonight. So on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCS. Stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.